So today's not really a topic, just a couple different things to update on. One of them is that this group, Voters for Animal Rights, who is run by Ali Feldman, who used to be the executive director of New York Class, they have started, this is Nick asking for attention now, they have started a rumor about that horse that had run away in the park the other day. I spoke about already on here, and there were no injuries and all that. It was due to a garbage truck that did not pass the horse at a legal safe distance. And now they are claiming that there was a baby shower set up in the middle of the park drive, in the middle of the street, in the park. Don't think that's true to begin with, because that makes absolutely no sense and no one else saw this and there's no witnesses to this. But they claim that the horse ran through a baby shower in the street and knocked over, or almost knocked over, a pregnant woman, because apparently the truth wasn't good enough for them. They're like, no, we need this story to be like something crazier, which is typical for them. About 10 years ago, maybe a little more, before I was even driving in the industry, there was this horse, Spartacus. You can probably look this up. And a carriage passed him and clipped his wheel of his carriage and tipped the carriage over. And the carriage drivers, within minutes, were able to, unharness him and stand him back up, because when his carriage tipped over, it pulled him. And it was only a couple of minutes. It wasn't really a big deal. But these animal rights people really wanted to turn it into something. So after a few days, they came up with the story they were going to go with, that the horse spooked at a bus and ran. And even if a horse did spook at a bus, there was no bus there. It's not a bus route. Everyone looked this up. A horse wouldn't just fall down with the carriage tipped over. It didn't make any sense. But that was the claim they went with. And then to back it up, which we found out later when we looked it up. But Ali Feldman got this girl, Stephanie Sinclair, who she went to high school with. We saw the connection on our Facebook page, to come out and claim she was a witness. And that, she saw this happen. So they went on with this fake witness story, I think it was about a week later, a few days later. And again, now they're like, wait, this story's not enough. We got to invent something. Yeah, there was a baby shower going on. So yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's almost as ridiculous as when you see the carriage driver's lunchbox come off the carriage in this, and they claim that was a baby. So yeah, these people are nuts. My horse is gonna pee a second. I'm just trying to move out of the pee here. That's one thing. Also, noticed my stalker, who I mentioned at length in another video, has, after all this time, discovered my YouTube channel. But we're not going to name them, and haven't decided how I want to go about that, just block, ignore, or whatever. But surprised it took that long. So they're still stalking. And what else was I going to say? I'm really surprised we already got to 33 subscribers on here. I haven't really shared this anywhere, but I guess I'm still supposed to ask you to subscribe and like and whatever. Imagine within a couple of years, I'm just moving around so much, there's a bee chasing me right now. Imagine in a couple of years, the channel will pick up more. This bee is just on my phone and not leaving me alone. So there's that. And I was going to tell you about the other day, which I did mention on here, that Betsy Smith, who is the CEO of the Central Park Conservancy, who's been in the news lately, was out here, and she refuses to talk to us about our horses or ways we can improve our industry. And she'd come out with this letter, not consulting the Conservancy board or anything, saying that, she now supports banning the horses, which is against the park's mission of preserving the history of the park, the way it was intended to be seen, and all of that. Anyway, she was here the other day, and I was somewhere where normally it's hard to find a hitching post around here, because Conservancy has refused to give us any. They don't care about safety, and they're hoping for accidents so that they have something to use against us. They've joined the animal rights ideology, apparently, or at least bought were bought by them to align with what they want. But I was by a pole, so I was able to tie my horse for a change. So I tied him up and I ran over to talk to her, and she was literally dragged away from me. I was just like, hey, do you have a moment to talk to us? I'm a carriage driver. And she's just like, I think you already know how I feel about it. And then this guy just like literally dragged her from me. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to harass you. I'm not going to chase you because I'm not like these crazy people. So I'm respectful and okay, go ahead. And someone else from the Conservancy is willing to speak to me about the park drives. But whenever it related to the carriage horses, or the Central Park Conservancy board and how they feel about us, he would just like shut down and would not speak about it. So it's interesting that they won't talk to us. And I always have my body camera on because these pedicab guys assault us and everything. And he became really nervous about that and was asking that I don't share the video on social media. So now I'm kind of like, what are they hiding? But anyway, that was interesting. So there's that now. And whenever I would bring up the fact that one of the things the Conservancy mentioned that they didn't like was that some of the horses were parking outside of their stand in what used to be a horse carriage stand near Columbus Circle. Because when we were moved from our spots outside the park on 59th Street, Central Park South, and Grand Army Plaza, and put into the park, as an animal rights extremist were attempting to drive us out of business and make us less visible and put us in new spots that were harder and hotter and not ideal. When they did that, there used to be room for all 68 carriages, and when they moved us inside the park at these new locations, there's only room for about 40 of them. And the idea was to ticket us out of business by saying the horses were parked outside of a stand, and that's an illegal parking spot. But also, we're supposed to rest our horses after, they do a certain amount of work. So if there's nowhere to park, it's like, do you choose technically overworking your horse by continuing to drive them around, or do you pull over somewhere to let your horse rest? And if the stands are full, where are you going to pull over? So I did ask him a couple of times that, this has been 3-4 years you've been asking them for more parking spots, and he's saying the DOT has to hold a hearing. That's not even true. They can just put up stand signs. The reason they held a hearing the last time was because there was a rule change implemented about us picking up only in the stands. But the fact that, signs go up or down, there's no hearing for that. The DOT can just put them up, and the Conservancy can request those signs, and everybody works together and gets things done. But he was just trying to give me this, legal, runaround. It's not even true. But anyway, he's claiming that, the DOT just didn't give us more signs, and we're going to wait for them, and we're going to wait for them to have a hearing. And I'm like, all right, but in the meantime, we are allowed to work here. We are working here. And we only have room for 40 carriages-ish, maybe a little less, more, whatever. So where do you want us other 20 or 30 carriages to go? And he's like, well, you can't park there. I'm like, okay, but what should we do with them? And he has no answer. So now, in the last couple of days, the mayor's office has asked that the police start ticketing the drivers over there. And this was all the plan from all along. But all of a sudden the tickets are starting to get implemented, and we're just like, well, wait, what about all of the pedicabs crowded around the no pedicab solicitation, no pedicab parking signs? Are they also going to get tickets now? Is someone going to stand there and ticket them all day? Because we can't even use our 6th Avenue stand a lot of the time because the pedicabs are in it. Are you going to use them? It's not a safe place to put our horses, because even when the pedicabs aren't in our stand, they're in the spot that it's illegal for them to park in on the other side of our stand, so we can't make a wide enough circle to get our horses water or begin a ride or, anything like that. And they're constantly starting fights verbally and sometimes physically with us because they're on top of us over there, trying to steal business from us. So if you don't do something about that, what do you want us to do? Where should we go? Personally, I don't park there. I have a different stand I like to go to, and that's where I go. But now that they're kicking us out of the places that are out of the way, that are actually good carriage stands, if they would just put up signage for us there, they're trying to make this case against us that doesn't really exist, because everyone knows who the really lawless people in the park are. Pedicab drivers, e-bike riders, and those are the ones causing the safety hazards, not these guys.